Alright, all of Battlefield's problems are intentional, or at least not a concern from the developer's point of view. In fact, having bugs to patch, gunplay to rebalance, and maps to remaster is all part of the plan, because it's become the backbone of EA's live service model. New maps, weapons, modes, and tangible content is hard, but endlessly keeping a carrot on a stick with circular gameplay changes is easier. That right there is my biggest Battlefield conspiracy. That Battlefield Labs mode suddenly breaking months into the live service, base maps being remade and talked about like new content, and small obvious changes coming years later post-release are in fact all part of the plan. EA knew for years we wanted a server browser. Well, now it's coming 4 seasons into the live service. DICE had to know Blackwell Fields and Sovek City are dogshit maps via Battlefield Labs, so instead of fixing them in production, their remasters are now live service content. Battlefield has been testing gunplay for years with over a decade of knowledge behind them, so why keep flip-flopping on a seasonal cadence? And ranked modes are finally here. After 4 years of development alongside RedSec, they reveal it as a Battlefield Labs experience, injecting a game preview safety net into a premium title that's been on the market for months. I'm not saying that Battlefield Studios is purposely breaking their game, but when the live service can be held up by patch notes instead of hard-made content, EA uses that to their advantage. They create a problem and sell us the solution. Run the gunplay mechanics in circles, postpone fan-favorite features like the server browser, and stretch as little content as possible as far as you can. Where now fixing base content like shitty maps is considered part of the live service roadmap. That's the modern Battlefield way. But guys, if you enjoy in-depth reviews and discussions about all things Battlefield and FPS, drop a like and hit subscribe, and let's dive into my biggest Battlefield conspiracy. Alright, the year is 2011. The greatest Battlefield of all time just hit the market, and instead of hiding behind a game preview program, Battlefield Labs, or a carefully orchestrated release schedule, the game drops with 9 maps, just like Battlefield 6, and 2 more than 2042. 40 primary weapons, just around the same as Battlefield 6. A full single-player campaign, again like Battlefield 6, however, unlike 2042's missing single-player offerings. And 6 missions of PvE co-op, something the franchise hasn't ever tried again. Now, while Battlefield 6 eventually introduced its Battle Royale, Battlefield 3, with its $300 million cheaper production and roughly 150-person core dev team, introduced Premium, a prepaid DLC cadence that made hard promises to its player base. Right at release, DICE put down in writing that the studio guaranteed 4 maps and upwards of 10 new weapons and 5 new vehicles within 5 DLCs across the year of 2012 into 2013. 20 new maps, dozens of new weapons, several new vehicles, surrounded by new modes and mechanics with a guaranteed, non-negotiable price and hard-set dates. Back then, Battlefield had balls. They had a vision and they stuck to it before the game had even proven its success. Meanwhile, Battlefield Studios has ballooned with 4 studios, which has about 1,300 staff between them according to LinkedIn. $400 million over 4 years in production and nearly $2 billion in revenue later, the devs expect us to believe they don't have the resources or staff to do what a smaller team did 15 years ago. Instead, they break company records, whine on social media, and then get fired. And trust me, I'm not trying to say game development is easy. I'm saying quite the opposite. The EA is trying to avoid the hard work at all costs. that these sort of things are hard and resource intensive. Thus, instead of trying to pull off what the gutsy DICE and DICE LA did 15 years ago, modern EA has started to manage the game and player expectations by constantly talking down their capabilities. That somehow, with the same publisher, upgraded game engine, and more resources than ever, that game development is just magic. That they can't promise content like they used to, because the sweet science of game development is borderline impossible. Meanwhile, they're caught using AI to do their jobs for them. Instead, the truth is, they're scared. EA fears nothing more than responsibility, and the last time we saw them market live service content, they got stuck supporting 2042 for well over a year. Battlefield 6 released no strings attached. The Battle Royale was shelved until the game proved itself, and even this far in, Battlefield studios have seemingly been banned from promising anything like premium used to. No hard numbers, no guaranteed length of time the game will be supported, no guarantee on pricing structure, and no years-long roadmap like premium. They want to be able to rip the game away from us at any time. And instead of doing the hard things and promising results, they keep us paying in installments every few weeks while only releasing the seasonal trailer and full details days before the season goes live. They want the game to be as easy as possible to take away, and they want the baseline of live service support to be as minimal as possible. So instead of a guaranteed number of maps on a guaranteed cadence, we get battle passes filled with reskinned player models. Instead of guaranteeing 10 new weapons every few months, we get a new recoil update to base game weapons every mid-season. And I get it. Live service games have the luxury of endlessly tweaking features and mechanics, but Battlefield has taken this to a new level. They've become haphazard with updates. I'm writing this while RedSec lighting can still crash consoles, entirely new TTKs are being discussed and testing, and my favorite game mode, Strike Point, is currently removed because someone in Sweden fucked something up so badly they pulled the plug on a paid game feature. Ultimately, the way the EA and Battlefield studios treat the live service, it makes the whole production, like many other live services, feel incompetent and lazy. And I doubt that's really the case, because suddenly, as Battlefield begins going live service and has more eyes on it from EA, as their portfolio collapses around them, suddenly Battlefield has become a weekly saga of bugs, patches, and occasional content, with major game-defining features being slated out as if server browsers are now a feature to sell to players later. Meanwhile, some features like Portal are really impressive, and things like the 2026 roadmap show that if there's enough pressure and player counts collapse 90% in 3 months, they can plan ahead. But notice how the game didn't release like that. They only started getting ahead of things once the game started getting into trouble. Then they suddenly found high gear. EA has truly been able to create issues and sell the solution back to players. Don't worry, gunplay will be fixed one day, just stay tuned. Be sure to check in Season 4 for that fancy new server browser we know you've been asking for since 2042. And perhaps, just maybe, if you check the roadmap, you can see if your favorite mode or mechanic will be working and when we've decided to strategically fix it in time for a seasonal cadence. Battlefield's live service is a scam, not because the content itself is bad, but because fundamental features, even UI elements, core mechanics, and server tick rates are treated as live service content. A roadmap like Premium used to discuss content, literally bullet points, pricing, and dates months ahead of time, with players able to pre-order, in EA forced to deliver. Today, between the blatant PR move that is Battlefield Labs, the seemingly systematic breaking and fixing of core features, and suspicious cadence of pacing out of new features like a server browser, it's clear EA is wary of making promises, and they want to have players chase a carrot on a stick with weekly patch notes in order to distract us from the bigger picture of missing content. Content that was the industry standard 15 years ago. But guys, let me know in the comments below what you think of Battlefield's live service, and if you trust EA's handling of the franchise. And for everything else Battlefield, drop a like and hit subscribe, and as always, thank you guys for watching.